Welcome to Dear Young Queen, the podcast.
And Mary got the backstage on lock.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
that's
she's...
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's producer Mary over there.
This is a real production, guys.
Yeah. Gang, gang, gang.
Present.
Gang, gang, gang.
Here.
Gang's all here, Lex.
Hello, girls.
Welcome to Casa Lex.
Yes, I love it here. It's beautiful.
Thank you. One thing here at Dear Young Queen, the podcast, at Casa Lex, you have a beautiful welcome drink. Mm-hmm. This one we'll call Blue Magic.
Okay.
It is
Yes.
Voila.
Yes.
Magic.
This particular drink, we have gin in here. We also have blueberries that are muddled and topped off with a little ginger beer and blackberry lemonade.
Tasty.
You just take out the liquor if you want a virgin drink. So that's what you have, sis. How do you like it?
I love it. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I love
And
it.
add a little mint to that, just to
Are you always a mocktail kind of girl?
Always.
Got it. No alcohol ever.
Never. Ever.
In your whole life, or you've given up? You
Not
gave
my
it
whole
up.
life.
You gave it up. Okay, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Not my whole life.
Well, ladies, this is a packed house today. We got not one, but two incredible queens.
That's right.
Incredible Jamaican queens.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Thank you for the intro.
We
love it.
Right? No, for real though, I know that you both rep your Jamaican heritage hard, strong.
We love it,
So I
yes.
couldn't. I had to put that in there.
It's a big part of us.
But these two queens are best of friends from Miami Gardens.
Yes.
They met in middle school.
Yes.
In 2005, they founded an IT company together. About 10 years ago, Melissa, you were diagnosed with what we call mental illness. A little over 10 years, not that too much. And you became her caretaker.
Caregiver.
Sorry,
Yeah.
we're learning language. That's
Yes.
going to be a big piece of
big-
today.
Yes. Exactly.
I'm excited for Lex and I to kind of be schooled
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
learn and find out all the right things in language. But as her caregiver, not taker, together you started a foundation.
Yep.
Yeah.
And since then, you guys are out here traveling around the world, educating communities on mental illness, what it means to be a caregiver, and how you can succeed and thrive
100%.
in this world with mental illness. And that is incredible.
We're lifting the stigma.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
Smashing the stigma.
Yes.
that. You were diagnosed with bipolar, OCD, and there was one more.
Schizoaffective disorder.
Schizoaffective.
Disorder, yeah.
And after that diagnosis, you became her caregiver.
I was actually thrown into it.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was becoming a caregiver.
Yeah.
And it was before that. I just didn't know what I was caring for.
Yes.
I was just being a friend. So,
She got
Yeah.
the names.
so
Yeah, now you got the name.
Now we're talking about verbiage. So now I know what it was I was doing, and I can identify and put a label on my works.
Yes.
Being bipolar 1, you are manic or you have a depressive episode. So it's kind of you go fully in either. So that's why you're bipolar 1, because you had a full manic episode.
1 meaning the level.
Yes. So it's bipolar 1 is the title.
Okay.
And then you have bipolar 2, where you live in between those spaces. And it's difficult because you kind of cycle in and out, but you don't necessarily go as high as mania or as low as full depression. But
In bipolar 2.
in bipolar 2, yes.
In bipolar 2.
But me diagnosed with bipolar 1, I go into both of those episodes fully. So I don't cycle in and out of them. I could stay within those.
Dear Young Queen is a podcast about first and last. So I figured the best way to dig into this is to start with a first time question for you both.
Okay.
I want whoever you think got the best version of the story to answer. So Mel, what was the first time or first instance that you believed, hey, I might need to go get myself checked out? Or Jihan? What was the first time or moment that you believed that you needed to have the honest conversation with Mel that, hey, I think maybe you should go and get checked out?
I don't think it was the same time. I think it was the same event that occurred that we were just like, bro, something's up. Something's been up for a while, and you need to go and see someone. This isn't what they call normal.
Yeah.
How do you know it was her, not you?
Because I wasn't the one acting out. You know, at the time, I wasn't the aggressor, and not in a physically aggressive way, but just it was more in an obsessive way to get her point across, which became aggressive. Yeah. And we had been battling with arguments and, you know, Melissa fighting. We're at the club. Why are we arguing? You know what I mean? Yeah.
We're at mom's house. Like,
you know, we're in front of people. You know, it's moments that literally were just out of the norm. Yeah. Out of the norm for anyone. Like, at those times, we could literally be sitting here, and if I said something that could be considered a trigger, which did happen at my parents' house, we got into an all-out, like nobody was there argument. Yeah, it was bad. Screaming. It was bad. Mm-hmm. It was bad. We had gotten into an argument over finances. Mm-hmm. I'm a financial girl. You know, I'm money. So I was trying to talk to her about her finances. And
so that's another thing. Outside of that space, talk to me about it. Like, girl, thank you for your help. Or, yeah, let's do this. And unfortunately, before my diagnosis, it would be times where Jihan would be like, Melissa, we just literally had this conversation last week.
And it didn't go like this.
It didn't go like this.
You know, because it's finances. You know, we have businesses together. So just talking finances. It was fine last week. You know, we did this over some dinner and we had a great time. We got things done. We got to the point, you know. But this week it's like, you know, I can't touch on it. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because along with our journey and Melissa getting diagnosed, that is when I was able to start doing my own research and starting to notice whenever she's slipping into different moods.
To identify it.
Yeah. So it's very identifiable. Right. Yeah. So now I see when she's anxious. Like the other day we took a flight and as we're taking off, I mean, she was just talking. I'm like, sis, stop. Like the whole plane was just like, bro, shh. Because she was nervous. She doesn't like to fly. You know, so I noticed that she was, you know, her anxiety was high. So that's just one example.
Do you receive that when she tells you?
And honestly, I do. I had to be able to get into that space to receive that. But it's difficult. And I want people to understand that no matter what, it's hard to receive stuff that at that moment you don't want to hear. Mm-hmm. But it makes it even harder when chemically you don't realize you were put into that space. Right. So some of those times, it could be the best time. Somebody could call me some great news. And it'll just be, I can physically feel myself like sinking. So it's really, truly chemical. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can receive it now where I'm like, Mel, I'm always having to be on top of myself. And of course, not all the time I'm not, but thank God for medicine and interventions and diets and so many other things we could talk about what assists, but I have to stay in that space to receive or else I'm going to be all the way back, you know, almost starting over.
How old are you guys when this happens, this transition in your friendship? Because it is. You go from just being like sister friends to being work friends to being like, oh, wait a minute, there's a deeper level we have to unlock right now.
I've been dealing with these fluctuations of moods since we were children. We just didn't know what it was. I just had I didn't know what to call it. Like if Melissa came to pick me up for school and she's like 100 hours late, it's like, bro, like we got to go to school, you know? Yeah. My mom's sleeping, but if she wakes up and I'm here, she's going to question me. Like, come on. Yeah. Not knowing that on the other end, Melissa was like, turning the doorknob like 45 times.
OCD is a very, very debilitating illness to battle because not for everybody, but for me, these things don't make any sense, but you're pushed to do them. Yes. It's like, I can't leave the house unless I turn the doorknob right and left and then left again. And if I forget and I go right, I got to start all over because I got to do that 10 times. And obviously I'm laughing because I'm laughing at myself. So a lot of times people say, well, you take this so light and you love to laugh. But for me, that's my only way to move through these things. So I know they're painful. I know they're hurtful. I'm living them. But I have to find a way. It's, you know, it's beauty in everything, you know? But that story is 100% on point. That's 100% on point.
So this is how it will go. Sis, why you late? A whole story, a whole lie. And that lie wouldn't make sense. So then I would get annoyed.
Because you're like, why? What is going on?
You wasn't cooking breakfast because you can't cook.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're like 15, bro. No, that's not what you were doing. Yeah. And then defense. Then she would become defensive. And then when she becomes defensive, you know, knowing that I'm late for school and I'm about to get in trouble with my mom, I'm defensive. And then we just get into this huge argument, you know? So a lot of our early years in our friendship, this is how we existed.
Yeah.
We existed with tons of arguments. Anywhere, I mean, literally in a club. Yeah. It's music. Why are we even arguing over the music?
So why do you say friends?
Because that's not who Melissa is all the time. And she's a good friend. Bipolar is her diagnosis. That's not who she is.
No, but at the time you didn't know this. So why stay friends with a girl that you're arguing with all the time?
There was more invested than these little silly arguments.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? This is my sister.
Yeah.
You know, we still argue.
Yeah.
You know, but we're family.
What was it that made you want to lie? That didn't allow you to be able to tell her, girl, I'm not leaving until I hit the doorknob 10 times. Like, there was no defense of your behavior. There was no honesty. Was that shame? Was that fear? What was that?
So it was both. And that's why we go out and do this every day, because people don't understand how much shame it is, how difficult it is. I lived, so this was 100% secret until 2019. Literally, we have business associates, we have family members. This story, this whole thing was never told. Y'all,
there's family members that'll probably see this and
like,
that'll be their way of knowing.
So it was so much shame. How you sound? And I'm talking about myself here. Like, how you sound? Like, hold on. Not only I gotta do the doorknobs, but then it's the bedroom doorknob, but then it's the front door doorknob. And then you're still trying to keep this person up. So people gotta understand it's hard. It's a lot of shame. And I hated that I lied about it, because I almost resented myself at certain points, because I felt like I hid really great parts of me, because I had to sweep all of that under the rug. Where people are like, damn, Mel, I could have been there for you, but I had to be there for me first. It was times that I didn't want to be there for me. It's like, Melissa, I don't want to deal with this. I'm on vacation. I paid all this money. I don't want to be in a hotel room in my bed. Nobody does that. Crying underneath the sheet. Jen, like, Mel, nobody does that. And not having a reason. Nobody passed away. You know what I mean? It's like, that shame and that fear, you're almost facing yourself. Everywhere you look, you're looking at your own self. So that lie is really for you. You're really lying for yourself, you know?
I feel like I could understand not being able to like diagnose yourself with bipolar or schizoaffective. But you never thought like, touching this doorknob is OCD. Let me get online and find the communities of people that might have OCD. Let me see if I could read something that sees what this is. Was there any desire to grab a hold of it or try or do some research, or was it too much to kind of face?
No, 100%. OCD was actually the first one. I was so proud of OCD. I said, girl, you know I got OCD.
Yeah.
Girl, you know I got OCD.
But she wouldn't claim
because you were able to justify the behavior.
Yes.
So Melissa is really comical about the whole situation. It's a serious situation, but we keep it lighthearted for various reasons, to get through days, to get through times, whatever. So to piggyback on you accepting OCD, there would be times Melissa would literally come to me and be like, I don't even think I'm bipolar, sis. I mean, diagnosed by like 4 doctors. She's accepted it like days before. She's like, it's just OCD.
It's just
okay.
OCD. Yeah. It's it. It's just the OCD.
So to your answer, yes, I received it. I was honest about it. I worked on it. We worked on it. Jen helped me with it. People did. But it was the heavier stuff that was very difficult for me to really digest. 100% was very, very hard.
Understandable.
Yeah.
One of the things Alexis and I sit here and talk about often is that in this world now, we're so blessed because there's damn near a community for anything. You could go find your tribe now.
That's right.
It's true.
In the most beautiful way, right?
Yep.
I pray to God that there are 5 women at minimum that are watching this being like, damn, Mel, you're part of my tribe.
That's
or
right.
damn, Jay, you're
Yes.
part of my tribe.
Right.
Like my own girl, you know what I mean?
Very relatable.
There's a place for everybody. So I just wonder, like, in all of that shame and all that feeling alone, if you, because like OCD was something I used to watch that was like people had on talk shows. And I'd be like, oh, damn, like, look at that. She got to tap her head 3 times before she or does whatever. Montel Williams used to have people that had tics or, you know? And so was the world, at least as you got older, a place where you you did start to feel a little less alone, or it was just like, no, this shit is isolating as fuck. Part of my language.
No, that's okay. So when you live with a mental illness and a mental condition, that whole we thing is very difficult to really believe. So mental illness is so private. It's so personal. So yeah, I saw people, I saw the MTV TV show, like, I have OCD. That made me be like, damn, let me go look at that. Let me check it out. But still, that's still internal for me. For me to like jump in one of those little chats or whatever, yeah, I could do that. But for us all to grab hands and just, it's still lonely. It's a lonely path. And I'm so grateful for Jihan, because through this loneliness, which I'm the most grateful for, is you continue to break through that loneliness.
I didn't treat you with any limitations. Melissa was just, she was just my friend. It's time to get up and go to work. You're going to get up and go to work. You know what I mean? Like, I understood what you were going through, but we're Jamaican. I didn't pet and powder it.
Pet and powder.
Right. So basically, I didn't baby her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not where I'm from. That's not who I am. And I didn't feel like that would help her. I felt like that would further...
It would hinder
her. Yeah. It'll further make her feel less, like she was less a part of society, like everybody else, getting up and going to work. I had a great respect for the diagnosis or the multiple diagnoses, but I that wasn't who I spoke to every day. I spoke to Melissa every day. You need to go to work. Yeah. You know, you're a single woman out here. Yeah. You need to go and figure this out. Yeah. You know, so.
And that, obviously at the time, I didn't want to hear that. You know, but I'm really grateful, because it really helped me. The hardest fight is with yourself. Yeah. I ain't meet an enemy that got nothing on Melissa. For real. It's like, oh, girl, you petty. But the things that I have to kind of go through, my own barriers. So let people know that you could fight that part of yourself. Everybody, you could love every part of yourself, or you could push parts that you don't like aside. You can improve parts. You get rid of it.
We're doing a lot of talking about support for Mel. Yeah. But not a lot of talking about support for you. Yeah. And the reality of understanding when someone hands you a medical diagnosis and says, sure, now we have the answers to what you think is wrong with your friend. Right. But by the way, this is for life. All the other responsibilities you have. Right. Hey, now there's someone else in your life that now you're going to care for, and it's not going to be an easy task to care for them. Yeah. What do you do? How do you support yourself? How do you find your tribe, your resources, your people in your life that are telling you, like, all she do is argue with you? Yeah. Because people don't know the inner workings of your...
I had no one. No one. I didn't even talk to my husband now, who I'm married to now, about it. Like, literally, I'm her friend first. So that's like telling my friend's business. I'm giving tea at the moment. I wasn't going to do that. You know? So I guess... being able to communicate with Melissa heavy, and, you know, through some of those arguments, and then at times seeing breakthroughs was healing for me. Like, okay, I'm doing this for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, she was totally not a flyer. Like, she would not get on a plane. And then our business took us to a point where we were flying all the time. You know what I mean? So we had no choice. But me not babying her and seeing her get up and, you know, be on one side of the country and I'm on the other side of the country, and seeing her flourish in that way, that was healing for me. You know, so the only support I really had was God. That's it.
That's hard.
It was, and I asked myself that all the time, like, what? You're basically raising somebody who's older than you. Yeah. Only a couple months. But I always ask myself that. And it was, I have no answer other than God. Yeah. Because not one person, I didn't get I wasn't a part of a support group. I didn't get online and find a just anybody to talk to.
The plight is really also for caregivers. Caregivers are so... People overlook caregivers, and they're so important. Yeah. They are so important. It's like, I look back sometimes and I'm like, damn, who was there for you, man? Because I went left. And I think about... And that's another thing where you feel that shame, because you put these people you love through these things. And then you're like, oh, damn. You have that moment like, oh, damn. So you have to not only process what you did, you're like, damn, you really hurt somebody you love.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, who was there for you? And you don't want to be like a douche, but it's like, I almost halfway, some of those moments couldn't fully remember. So I'm like, well, who helped you through that? Which is so, it sounds so wrong, right? But I don't know.
For me, it's a lot of like, did you check on your strong friend today?
Yes.
And it's so interesting that as you go and you continue to do the education that you're doing, I actually can't wait to see the communities that come from your side out of the work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it's a strong,
I naturally am a girl's
strong.
girl. I'm a woman's woman. So I'm pro-woman, period.
That's true.
And I hate to see women struggling on their own. You know what I mean? And when I say struggling on their own, I mean without a person just to tell a secret to. I call myself a one night conversationer. So I've traveled the country and I would go out to eat a lot. Yeah. And I would just sit down and allow somebody to pour into me. Yep. And I would pour into them and never talk to them again. Yeah. And it'll be about personal situations, kids, husbands. And at the time I had no kids. I wasn't married. But whatever I can give at that moment, I gave. Yeah. And I enjoyed it. Yeah. And I still enjoy it. Yeah. So I do believe that, that is a part of my calling.
Mm-hmm. So you get this diagnosis, like what, they send you home with medicine and say, hope you feel better. Like, how do you treat 3 different mental illnesses at the same damn time?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I think that they've made a decent amount of headway in the psychiatric drugs, but I feel like not as much as in other ailments. Because I think that's another thing with the stigma drives where the market goes. So don't get me wrong, for bipolar, I believe we're up to maybe 7 or 8, don't quote me, but I believe it's between 7 and 8 drugs that can treat bipolar. Where you think you got a headache, you got 900 different things, different ways you could do this thing, So that research is really needed, which I can understand, but the research is driven by the market, and the market is driven by so many other
they're
things.
behind.
Honestly, it is. So to answer your question, yes, you're given a bunch of medicine.
And just say,
and
read the directions
pretty
much.
And the psychiatrist kind of has to say, well, people don't know this, but mental illness is almost patient managed more than other illnesses. So literally, they'll give me my medicine and they say, well, take this one. And if you feel too tired, cut this one down. And if you feel a little too jipper, put this one on it. And like literally, it's like 5 different ways you could do this. So you're kind of ending up with the whole thing where it's just like, okay, so I got to pick. Okay, so I couldn't wake up the day before. Okay, so I took these 2 together and it was like, I couldn't move. So I got to take this one.
Trial and error, testing to see what.
It really is. So, and it's important and it's helped me a lot. So it's no shade because it's something that's needed, but it's something that I wish that had more behind it. So yeah, you get the medicines because it is medicines out there to treat all of them, and you kind of dance with them till you get your right.
So they have no real way, or to my understanding, every time that I read about it, or I'm, it's just really broad. It's like how makeup used to be. Yeah. Like, thank you. Shout out to you, Rihanna. You know what I mean? For getting into the different tones and the different textures and the different undertones, if that's a good enough example.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because your mind is such a funky place.
There's
I mean,
so many variables.
And there's so many nicks and crannies in your mind. And I feel like, in my opinion, that industry has been lazy with it. And it's a part of the stigma. They don't give enough love and enough care to the mentally fragile.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it's right.
Needs more people need to be, and it's so many layers to this because it needs more people that are a part of the industry.
You can't run studies on people that don't want to admit they have the
that don't want to
disorder.
admit.
Right.
And then guess what? To run the studies, you need psychiatrists, you need nurses, you need psych nurses, you need mental health technicians.
Right.
COVID actually, I can be honest. COVID gave the mental health, the whole field, a big boost.
I agree.
Because when I tell you these statistics would say from 2003, now you got some from 2020, 2021, 2022.
Because now everyone is
so now everybody keeping up with this. Okay, well, 2.5% of people in America is diagnosed bipolar or living with bipolar. So it's so many new statistics and things that are coming out now. So I think that's helped to push this conversation a lot forward a lot faster.
Even people like over the past year, seeing someone like Kanye West, who many people feel like it has some sort of mental illness.
Yes.
He's been honest about his bipolar disorder.
He has been.
Yes.
Okay, so he is also bipolar as well.
He is.
All right, and he's someone that hates his medicine, doesn't want to be on his medicine.
He has talked about
He's talked about that too.
Is that a terrible experience for you?
I'm not gonna lie, it is. It's hard. It's hard. It's a private thing that you go through with yourself, but it's difficult because of medicine. So we gotta remember we're talking about chemicals, and this is how you remember yourself. This is how you remember yourself. It doesn't matter if that person's healthy or not. That's your memory of yourself.
Right.
So when I began the journey of taking medicine and taking those steps to be healthy, I would go to Jihan sometime and be like, I don't know who this person is.
Yeah.
Like, who is this Melissa? Like, I'm relearning this person, and I don't necessarily know if I like this person. She seems so boring. She don't never talk like she don't just talk out of turn. She don't like talk loud.
Jihan's like, yo, but the other one, that don't shut up.
Right.
Yo, let me tell you.
So it's that, like, we had a private conversation recently about that, where that journey to health and being healthy has to not only be for you, but it's the people who you love and the things that you want to be a part of. Yes. So it's like, for us, hey, I could see her kind of go back and forth with this, whatever. But I love these people too much.
It's the light.
I love my godchildren too much. I love my aunt too much. I love Jan too much. Like, I love these people too much to do that because they don't love that person. That person is not the best version of me. So that's my motivation. But if it was for me, I'm gonna be honest with you, just being real so people can understand this is real. I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm be honest. Like, I probably wouldn't.
Yes.
Because it's like that energy is what I remember. I've been like that since I was a kid. Like, who's this girl?
It's just easier, I'm sure.
It's just easier. But
it's harder for the rest of us.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So that choice that's that kind of decision, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the mission of So Bipolar.
I love the play on the words too.
Yeah. I mean, we came up with it. We were just sitting there thinking about, well, what can it be where you really own this thing?
Yeah.
And if you own it for both of us, like, nobody would think a caregiver would be like,
Fly.
no.
Just say it. Just say it.
Just fine. Just fine. Don't get me wrong. There's some fine caregivers out there.
But she at the top.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So your mission.
Most of the people who manage this mental illness, some of them come out and tell you, but most of them ain't gonna tell you.
Yeah.
They've kind of worked their way into this thing being their own secret. These people are CEOs. These people have these great, amazing things, but for them to really put that out, that's just a no. It's not. You know, we do have some celebrities that kind of talk about it, but it's not even really the same because they're not necessarily crusading and still saying they're at that level. So it's like, I'm at this level and I'm this.
Yes,
you know, that's hard. I think other
yes.
than Mariah Carey, she's probably from what I know, she's probably the only one. I think she's bipolar too. And Mariah Carey, you know, she is a crusader because she's consistent and she'll tell you, this is what I manage, you know?
Yes.
But outside of that, we need to get people, lawyers, doctors, all kind of people need to come out and be like,
where y'all at?
Nurses, anybody, you know, come
Straight
on.
up.
Yeah, no, it does.
You you this, you that, you take your medicine, you manage, you're a caregiver, you doing this. We wanted the mission to be, come on, you don't have to worry about what people saying or what people feeling, because that's the only way we can really smash the stigma. It starts with us.
But just like Ashley said earlier, there's a community for everyone.
Everyone.
And now, by us coming out and showing our faces and the comfort that you have speaking about this.
Absolutely.
There was a time
and the confidence.
Melissa wouldn't talk to me about this.
Right.
In the desert.
Yeah.
You know, with no phone.
Right.
In the dark.
Yes.
Okay? We could not have that conversation. So this is going to, you know, spread comfort to people. They're going to see your comfort, and it'll hopefully be contagious. Where they can say, this is who I am. You have it for life.
Yeah.
Like I always said to you, for me to tell my story, you have to tell yours. But I never felt ashamed. This is my friend. Like, this is my girl. I mean, it's what it is. And that's just who Jay is, you know.
Your new titles in your friendship. What title do you get?
So I call myself a patient for people who
that's just the terminology.
That's just the terminology.
You know, the proper terminology.
The proper terminology. But I don't mind because I think that it's me and embracing it. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
I am a mental health patient.
You a fine one?
I'm a fine one. I've been to a mental health hospital. I have sat in them waiting rooms and seen people getting off the chain. I'm like, man, you know you don't gotta act like that. We all in here. We all got the same. You don't got to be acting like that.
She would come back because a lot of times when we were younger, I'll be sitting in the car because I took her.
Yeah.
So she'll come out. She'll be like, girl, you ain't gonna believe this man just came and had to sit right beside me.
Cool. We came here to get our medicine. You don't got to be doing that. So, I mean.
Or does he?
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Or does he?
Because there's levels.
Because
right?
all she's thinking is, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not. Even
right
though
now.
I want it right now. Yes. But so I call my patient, I don't mind. Or a mental health thriver. I call myself a thriver.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, I'm going to pull through this. Me and this thing are going as far as we can. Like, I'm not. You can't keep. I'm not gonna let this thing keep dragging me down.
Yeah.
Because it's dragging me down a lot.
Yeah.
Now I'm at the point where I believe this. I think sometimes we can say a lot of stuff, but do you believe this? I do believe that I have these things to bring to the table.
But I noticed that since you became comfortable with you and you accepted it, you made my job easier.
And you're 100%.
And I thank you for finally doing that. Because you're not just, you just made my life easier. And to see you flourish, to see you become this person, you don't understand how gratifying that is to me. You have absolute, because I did that. I was a huge part of that.
You saw it.
It was time.
I saw it, girl. I literally did it.
No.
Like
I made up my mind.
Let's go. We're going to go get your hair done. I went shopping. You're going to wear this.
Out.
You know, 100%. You're in this mood. You will not stay in this mood.
100%.
You know, I won't allow you to look the part, because if you look the part, you're going to feel the part even further. So what you're going to do is be a bad bitch in society, and we'll deal with all this shit behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you're going to work, and you're going to get this money.
And this is what I want people to understand, that sometimes it's freedom in allowing people to help you.
Yes.
People say,
Melissa used to say this to me all the time when we got into arguments. She would look at me and she says, you have no idea what it feels like for a textbook to tell you who you are.
That's true.
So you can read in a book that a bipolar person, bipolar one is
the
this.
definition.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I understood that and I sympathized with that, you know, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because you're still that.
Yeah.
You understand? We still have to troubleshoot this, and we still have to find a way to fly above this and get through it. So I get it. I'm there with you, but we're not going to sit here. That's not, I'm resolution driven, and you're resolved.
Yeah.
As best as you
can be. No matter how much you could drag somebody, say you about to do this, you about to do that. My will had to bring me to do it.
That's facts.
So Jen said, listen, we're going to get out the bed. We're going to wash your hair. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And however I had to find it, because you do have to find the will sometimes to do small tasks. I did it. It's just like to find that will sometimes is really hard. It's really hard because you are always finding it sometimes when you're in those episodes, you're in those spaces. You always have
like more work.
It's like more work.
So talk to us. You guys do events. How do you impact? Are you in schools? What is your impact with your community like?
Yeah, we do it all. We're doing events where we have a children's book. So here we have a children's book.
Thank you.
Have more.
So this is actually a true story.
It is. It's based
and this
on
is Melissa's first introduction to a delusion when she was 5.
I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Tatu's Adventures was something myself and Jihan came up with, because that was the first story that I told Jihan about having mental illness. And I'm like, listen, when I was young, I would see my dolls and they would dance and they would just have this whole party. And as soon as I walked in the door, they would just fall out. And I remember Jihan being like,
nah, boo.
Nah. But it was the way she said it. It wasn't like judgmental. It was, and it was,
that's okay, but that didn't happen. But let's go get lunch.
I was like, okay. And that was my first time being able to be honest about what went through my mind and what I dealt with or what I deal with. So Tatu's Adventures is based on that. It's just based on a little girl that knows that this is not an imagination, knows that this is something she thinks she is experiencing. And a way for parents and children to both sit together and talk about this. So, answer your question, we're in the community. We've been to preschools and we read this to the kids.
Oh, dope.
And then we've had
book
meetings
readings
after where Jihan would kind of talk from the caregiver perspective, would talk to the parents about how to use this tool, book readings. When you catch mental illness and different conditions very young, it's so much easier to navigate. And it's okay for parents to be like, my child did a little thing. Let me go check it out. Parents need that space. We have health panels about how your gut is connected with your mind and what you put in your body and how it's important.
and how that's also a treatment for mental illness.
It is.
You can heal yourself through the foods that you eat.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're just everywhere that people want to receive some information.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many times people take both of us to the side individually. I'm like, girl, they told you that? And I'm like, girl, you don't believe what somebody told me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like, wow, amen. That person may have wanted to give up. That caregiver might want to be like, man, I can't deal with this no more, blah, blah, blah. Not realizing there's resources out there. There's people that want to hear, that want to help. So
y'all busy.
Yeah.
amen. Yeah.
Busy.
Grateful, yeah,
Booked
very-
and busy.
Yeah.
Spreading the message.
Yes.
Smashing the stigma.
Yes.
Yep.
Reading to the babies.
Yes.
Gifting the babies.
Yes.
Is this going to be a series?
It is. We're probably nailing down maybe like 3 or 4 like final stories,
Dope.
and gonna start getting our illustrator to start drawing them out and stuff. But Tattoo is available now. It's on Amazon.
Yes.
It's
Go
on
get
Amazon.
This
It's on
is
our website.
This is amazing resource, not just for children, but for adults, because I just read through it and, it's like, wow. Like, I learned something,
Right.
I feel like this is like a breath of fresh air, especially with a parent that is a little nervous or doesn't want to speak. You know what? This is relatable
100%.
because my child just went through this. Somebody else went through this.
Right.
I'm not the
So
only
they
one.
can relate
Here's a
as a child,
resource.
yeah.
I can bond with my child like this, and we can rock with it like
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
So I think this is very important, and bless y'all for this.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's all it's really about. And end of the day, if we had tools like that, listen, I
Oh
had
my
tools
gosh.
like that.
It's a tool.
And even that story, like becoming a new mom, our parents were just not at the space to have these conversations, or didn't have the resources or the knowledge to have these conversations. Somebody saw something, but were they working? Were they overworked? To take that time out. It's in our community especially. And we're first generation Americans. Our parents were immigrants, so they came here to set up for us. So it's like, oh yeah, she might be doing something that's a little off, but she'll be all right. We'll pray for her.
Hustling.
She here
She's
now.
here.
We gave her
Right.
opportunity.
And I fed her, and she has a place to sleep. So figure it out.
Yeah.
But now my plight personally is to help other moms to, help your child.
Help your child.
Talk to your child. And if your child's different, it's okay. It's better to catch it young.
Yes.
Troubleshoot young. Like my son, my oldest is 3, and I'm just always looking at him. I'm like, Mel, he got OCD.
I'm like, no.
Yeah. He just slapped his crib 4 times. She says, Jan, he's calling you. Like, go. I'm like, oh, okay.
Mommy, no.
I'm like, my newborn. I'm like, Melissa, is she okay?
She be
Just
scratching
like,
her
shut
head.
up.
Breathing.
Because my daughter, she just like pats her head, but she's feeling herself.
feeling
Like
it.
she's
She's just
figuring it
learning.
out.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, just make
Yeah.
sure.
I know, they're fine.
Right.
Our communities, it's 2023, and we're
It's time.
just tapping on the shoulder of, you should go talk to someone.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad idea.
Me and Mel had this conversation. We kind of have to understand our parents again. Money was a problem, insurance was a problem. And then what does it take? More time. Everybody's overworked. So now that we're changing and we're doing different for our families, and then the tools we have, it's free. So you can just go online and just read.
But I think within our community, another thing that's really difficult is that conversation is very, very uncomfortable within our community. We're thankfully now at the point where we're able to talk about anxiety and depression, kind of. I feel like that's a community-based conversation that we can have. But we get into things like OCD. We get into things like bipolar. We get into things like schizoaffective, which it just means that you have bipolar, so you have a mood disorder, also with psychosis, hallucinations, and delusions. That becomes like, okay, so you like saying you like crazy for real crazy. And it's just like,
Oh,
no.
yeah. Nah, straight up.
You know what I mean? So I'm using that terminology within
Yes.
us, you know? So it's like, oh no, you like for real crazy. It's like, okay, what does that mean?
Right.
So for us as a community, we're on our way, but that stigma is so heavy.
But we have to get comfortable again with ourselves. And us as a community, we've broken so many molds already.
100%.
You know?
100%.
So now it's just for us to continue, and I do believe we'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
You know?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Just like with everything.
Yeah,
right.
It's interesting. I shared on an episode recently, you used to see like homeless people and get like really, really down about it. Like be super sad.
Yeah.
I'd be like, God, they don't have anything. And da-da-da. My mom would be like, what you need to stop for a second and think about is the fact that they didn't have anybody. Yeah. And so when I look at the both of you guys, I just hear my mom ringing over and over again that either A, somebody didn't understand them and gave up on them, or B, they exhausted their resources in some sort of manic episode that positioned them to be alone. And that's why they're here.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
That's
yes.
And it's just, as you guys sit here preaching your message and I hear my mom's voice over and over in my head, it's so important that people have somebody.
That's right.
Yeah.
We need other people.
Accurate.
We are creatures that are designed for human contact, for like, we need other people.
Yeah.
And so it's so important that you guys are running out here and you're saying like, yo, stick by your homegirl.
Yeah. And not even, I'm everybody's homegirl.
Yeah.
I'm that girl.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the other day at a restaurant, I take dinner at the bar a lot just because I'll go alone. And this woman, I think she was like 71. And she's recently divorced. And I forgot how we got into conversation. But before I left, you know, when I was driving home, I called Melissa and I was like, this lady just literally loved on me for just listening to her. Oh, she was recently divorced, and her husband, she was like torn up about it because they've been together for 50 something years. And at this point of their life, he's like, I'm out. I just don't want to do this. And I was just her girlfriend. Yeah. Like we just sat there and we kicked shit. And, you know, she was able to get vulgar with me and, you know, just be herself.
Yeah.
And, you know, she was with a whole group of other ladies.
But that's where she felt comfortable.
That's true.
Where she felt comfortable. People need
people.
And it's true. And just because, and I say this all the time to people in my situation, we still have to be a friend. We still have to be, you know, everything can't be, well, I'm bipolar because I went through that. Yes. Well, I'm this. One day it was just like, Melissa, Jihan needs a friend. Yeah. Period. That's it. That's it. Jihan needs a friend.
And you know, you said something earlier. I forgot what it was, but it was funny because there was a time where I was like a robot to you.
100%.
I wasn't a person to Mel. 100%. Once she realized that I knew what she was going through,
100%.
It became like a dumping ground.
100%.
And that caused a lot of friction 100%. And a lot. And for me to tell her, I'd be like, you know that's not, I don't have to be doing that.
100%.
You know? 100%. So we went through a couple of years where while we're on this road today, you know, it was a really tough couple of years. We were both in transition into points in our life where we are now, like, you know, work and, you know, me being married and whatever. And she got it because I put that, listen, I'm not doing this with you. You know, I'm me, you're you, you got your shit, I help you, but you have to want help. You know what I mean? You can't just treat me like I'm here and we're both going to be, you know, a part of this.
And I feel like that's another thing. Just because somebody accepts you, you have to accept yourself and accept that.
But you still have to bring them your A game.
100%.
You know what I mean?
You got
Don't just put on the A game when we're in front of people.
That's true.
On our couch because we were roommates and we were roommates.
Yeah, it was like, oh, girl,
we were living together. You know? So like, So as we're at home, you know, just because you're in your comfort zone, you know, we're best friends. You still have to carry the people that you love, with, you know, and give them your A game. Because without that team, without the squad, who are you?
It's true. You're right.
You know,
it's true. You're
so,
right. And I think that's another thing where self-responsibility is a difficult conversation. So
with or without mental illness, by the way.
I was just about to say that.
So it's like, I'm gonna get you to be accountable on a regular day. This day, it's a difficult conversation. It's a difficult conversation.
Yes.
And I had to have that conversation with myself, and I've had to have that conversation with a lot of other people in my situation too, where it's like, listen, I understand you're dealing with this, I get it, but you still have to navigate this way where you're there for those people as well. And I would hate to say within this that Jihan couldn't say I was a good friend. It would be like, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
Obviously, it was at times where I wasn't, but that wasn't necessarily my mental illness. That was just me needing to do better as a person.
Right.
Because at the base of us, we all manage whatever different things. It's like, oh, she a bad friend, she got diabetes. How? I'm bipolar, I'm automatically a bad friend. That's not true.
That's not true.
Within those times, I can find ways to be there and be better, even in some of the hardest times, especially when I've decided to walk on a healthier path. Find ways to be there for Jan and be there for people that I love and navigate through that. So we got to take that self-responsibility
that's
too.
100%. Yeah.
We just can't sit down and be like, oh, you know, can't just take. You have to, you know, you have to be in the world to do this.
After learning now so much about these 3 disorders that you do have, are you able to recognize anyone in your family that you think probably may have had these as well? Because from my understanding, yes, I learned here today that like a traumatic event could create the imbalance. But often we hear that it's genetic as well. So do you feel like you can identify anybody else in your family?
Oh, 100%.
Really?
How mental illness runs in my family. And that's another difficult
And you're just the first diagnosed?
No, I'm not. I'm not. We had trips to the... I gotta laugh. I'm so sorry because it brings back, and that's another thing too. Sometimes my emotions can go left or right because I could just bust out crying
right now.
Don't do it.
I could bust out crying right now, or I could just laugh.
Don't do it.
And I remember having trips to the mental institution as a kid, being in the backseat of the car because we dropped one of my family members off. Wow. And that's another thing too, that stigma sometimes is created in your household, you don't even know it. Because they're like, oh, we dropped so-and-so off to the crazy house, is how they termed it back then.
Yeah,
so, you know,
they
you know,
did.
and I'm in the backseat of the car and I'm like, oh my God.
They're going to the crazy
gonna happen? Right. And so when I got older, I saw me doing little stuff so-and-so did. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want nobody to take me to the crazy house. Like, you know, you go through this whole thing. So the answer to your question, yes, mental illness runs in my family. And being first generation American and our background, it's difficult to talk about. I still ain't really able to really talk straight to them people to this day. You know, thank God they better. Thank God they doing better. Thank God. Because if they wasn't, I wouldn't know how to
even communicate.
Because that's just a non-conversation.
Yeah. Well, you know? Don't worry, Jihan got all the tools
girl,
on how to have the conversation.
Girl, she ain't pulling up on some of them. So yeah, you know, and that's where it all starts. Everything starts in the household. Everything starts in the household. So yeah, I saw a lot of it, and it was hard. So I think that's what made my journey even harder because it wasn't a positive experience that I saw.
If there was a little girl that might be secretly dealing with any 3 of those disorders or something else that we haven't spoken about today, what are like 3 things that you wish you would tell her that you didn't hear?
That's a good question. And I'm going to make sure and try not to be emotional, but it's going to be hard.
I'm already emotional because it's something that somebody needs to hear. And that's what this platform is for. Yeah. All of the things that we didn't hear or learn, to hear 2 beautiful, successful women who can say, hey, by the way, I didn't have this message, but I hope you have it.
I hope you.
It's important.
Yes,
it's
true.
important.
I mean, I think the first thing I would say is tell yourself you love you. Tell yourself I love you. Tell yourself I love you. Find a mirror, find anything, and tell yourself I love you. Because you might not mean it at the time, but those words will get somewhere.
They really do penetrate.
And at that age, that word wasn't even in my mind. It wasn't even in my heart. It was nowhere around me. And I needed those words. Because my household was so volatile. Girl, pass everybody one. So first thing would be tell yourself I love you.
Yeah.
And after the I love you, it would be find somebody to talk to. find somebody to talk to. It doesn't mean that person will always be your mom or your dad. Yeah. So find somebody to talk to. If it's somebody at school, like a counselor, obviously it should be somebody that you feel comfortable with. Because talking, honestly, it's your first level of therapy.
Yep.
Because you hear
to get out your head.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to get out your own head.
It's the first place.
You got to get out your own head. So after that, I love you, it's finding somebody to talk to. And then the third thing will be picture yourself better. Picture yourself healthy. And I didn't know how to do that for years.
That's beautiful.
Jihan would be like, girl, you know what? I saw you. And your skin. And then, girl, you was doing this. You had on a chinchilla. I'm like, chinchilla, girl.
I love that vision.
I've been fancy.
Okay.
It was only here.
That's right.
And so she taught me how to picture myself healthy.
Yeah.
And those are the three things I would tell that girl. Like, tell yourself I love you.
You telling
we
me now
love
as
you.
a woman.
I love you.
girl.
We don't know you. I love you. Find somebody to talk to.
Yes.
It don't have to be your parents. Sometimes that could be sticky. Find somebody to talk to and picture yourself healthy. Picture yourself doing well. Picture yourself smiling. Picture yourself laughing. Because it will will you. It will will you to where you should be. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, girl, you done did it.
And
You did.
And Jihan, if you had three things that maybe it was someone who feels like someone in their life may be battling and they need to have a conversation with them because they want them to get better, what advice would you give them?
Soft starts to conversations. Soft starts to conversations. If I would have known that as we were kids and not just been, just so outward, opening conversations with Melissa, I think that she could have received it. It's wordplay. Let's just be real. Yeah, you know how to get what you want in this world. So you'll get the reaction that you want depending on how you start the conversation.
Yeah.
So that would be my number one. Yeah. So a lot of times I had to give Melissa what the world sees. Yeah, do you want that to be you? You understand? Like, do you want somebody to view you in that way? So try to get across to the person that this is what you're projecting. Is that how you want to be?
Not that it's you, but this is what it's giving.
This is what you're giving.
So
you may want to speak to somebody about that. And I may not be that person.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great.
And the third thing would be to let them know, no matter what, I'm here. I love you. And I accept you. Yeah. So now it's time for you to accept you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's strong.
Yeah.
That's strong. Yeah. Whew. Well,
dear young queen, definitely will be a pioneer because this conversation is not being had, especially not like this.
We're blessed that you came here and sat on
blessed.
The couch at Casa.
Beyond blessed.
We're blessed that you guys invited us.
Yeah.
Shout out to y'all. Shout out lovely Mary.
Shout out to producer Mary.
Yes, that's right.
Definitely. Well, listen, if people wanted to find you guys, follow you, learn more about the movement,
we need resources.
Where can they find you? Let them know where they can find you on social, websites, whatever it is that you want to share, where they can get the book. Don't forget that.
So MyPolar, SOMYPOLAR.org. So that's our website. So MyPolar Facebook, So MyPolar Instagram. If you probably just type in So MyPolar in Google, you'll find us. Tattoos Adventures, it's on Amazon, but it's also on sale. It's also on sale through our website. Yeah. But honestly, we pull up on you. Ain't nobody really worried about selling. It's more about getting that message out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
And it's for that 15-year-old. I had nobody positive to look at, to think about, to even say maybe one day. Nobody. So if somebody could get something out of this story, we have to think about leaving this place better than the way we found it.
That's right.
We have to. I went through so many things. You went through so many things. We went through so many things because somebody didn't want to be honest. They were like, no,
You have to be honest.
Yeah.
That's half of the journey anyway. I have never gone to dinner and had these conversations. But we can talk about bags, we can talk about vacations and things like that, but like this is something that has to be spoken about, just so I can go back and be like, okay, you know what, if that's something that happened with one of my children or someone that I love or just anyone, I'm like, you know what, I think this sounds a little familiar.
Yeah.
Let me go check this out because it sounds like,
100%.
So it's good to have just this open dialogue and be able to speak on it.
Yeah. And it's a lot of work, but that's the whole point, right? We all here to work. We all wake up and work.
100%.
All of us.
Thank you.
Every day.
So,
I started Dear Young Queen because I went through a depression and then worked myself out of it by sharing my story.
Amen.
Because it took away the isolation.
Amen.
Right? The hardest part of going through depression is getting out of that isolated state.
It's true.
And it was through this journey that I realized how much just opening up conversations helped people.
And can be healing to yourself. Also.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that that's also what's dope is that we can sit here and we can applaud you for your vulnerability and all of those things. But at the same time, we can smile because you're also healing
100%
through it.
It's true.
It's like super satisfying on all sides of to be the person that provides the platform, to be the person sharing their story, to be the person that helped them come to their to that level of being comfortable, to the little girl listening. Like it's just overall.
Correct.
Right.
So if you're somebody that is listening, you just witnessed someone open up about their mental illness, share stories about their best and worst moments.
Yeah.
I hope that we continue to open up spaces and conversations like this.
Absolutely.
So you can do two
Yes.
things. You can lay in the bed and let it own you, or you can get up and you can own it and you can wear it. You know, throw on a scarf with it, and you can accessorize it, and it could be the hottest shit ever.
And if you're in the bed right now, and that's the moment for you, be in the bed.
Yeah.
But don't stay there.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
There might be a day where you don't. I always say in my depression, I had 3 goals. They're the craziest. When I look back at them, it's hard to believe they were a goal. Number 1, it was to get out of bed for 30 minutes.
Yep.
There are 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
To get out of bed for 30 minutes was a goal. And the goal was just to go from my bedroom to my couch.
Yeah.
There was not like the second goal was to read 1 Bible verse.
Amen.
I didn't say a chapter.
A verse.
Y'all, a verse could be all of 6 words sometimes.
Right.
And the third was to take a shower.
Yes.
And the shower, I always tell people that don't understand it's hard because that is where you are naked, most vulnerable, and alone with your thoughts.
It's true. I've cried on the shower floor so many times.
What a scary place to be when you are in a bad space.
That's right.
So many times.
Right? But you're now, I said the story, you can relate to it. I heard a couple mm-hms and a couple mm-hms over there. You're looking at 4 women that are confident, that are successful, that have journeyed through life, that have had love, that have had heartbreak, that have half of us got kids up here, half of us don't. Like this is something that we go through.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
We go through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your friend is not crazy. She might have a mental illness.
Yeah.
Your friend is not crazy. She might be heartbroken.
That's facts.
Your friend is not crazy. She might not have anybody to turn to.
Yeah.
But it is on us to open up these conversations.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
And to not friend superficially.
Man.
Friend
You know,
superficially.
people do that a lot.
They
I notice
absolutely
that, and
do.
It's like totally like a pet peeve for me.
Yeah.
You know, like
We have to be honest.
Yeah.
We have to be honest with each other. It's helpful.
It is.
Well, look, there was a whole bunch of honesty here today.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Grateful, grateful, grateful.
You are not alone in this. It's people that are thinking about you right now, people that's fighting for you right now.
praying for you.
Praying for you. You are not alone in this. So don't forget that.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love y'all.
Love
Yes,
you too.
love you guys too. Thank you so much.